Is up, everyone? Tonight we have a very fun thing going on. Right now behind me I am working on a setup, a completely new setup for the entire room that I have right now. It's going to be really cool because, as you can already tell, I have a huge, well, maybe or what, Titanic already being built. Yeah, working on that. I thought that'd be kind of cool to show you guys before I start off this stream. But yeah, if you guys are excited for that, make sure you guys put that in the comments. But let's get into this because this is going to be a really fun stream. So, as you already can see, I have the entire game ready, pulled up. I don't know if I really want to call this a game. I put it in more perspective of a kind of like a history like walkthrough. I don't know. That's just me. We're not really exploring the entire deck of the ship. We are more going into just each of the grand staircase decks. So each of the little sections of the entire ship as we go up by up, or each section. And it is Titanic month, so on top of that, we have a bunch of Titanic things coming up. I'm working on trying to get some videos done. As you already can see, that's one of them. Just note that is not the final Titanic yet, and this room is a disaster right now due to me trying to make some adjustments for this. But yeah, so obviously we are currently on F deck, as it says right here. That's where we're starting. Welcome, the Zombie Killer King. And always gets me there. Giovanni, we got Copper. Yeah, sorry about the little late response here, but we did start a little later than I thought we were. But yeah, we do have the sinking coming in very soon. The sinking of the Titanic, and we will be going through the night. And I will be doing a live stream on Titanic sinking. Yes, it's going to be very fun. So make sure you guys are here that night. It's about a week and away. But yeah, anyways, this is F deck. This is probably like one of the most boringest decks on Titanic. Not because just the way it's designed. It's more of a deck that leads to the lower section of Titanic. There's nothing really special about it. It's heading to the pool, the Turkish bath, and some other things down this hallway as well, and some closets. It is definitely not the prettiest of the grand staircase, but it is very needed because lots of things are down here as well. The detail on this wood, guys, is just fantastic. I'm almost certain this is oak. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive it is. If she hadn't sunk, would Titanic be as famous as she is today? Titanic would not be famous, nor would half of the ships that we probably know of today probably wouldn't be as famous as well. It's true. Any ship that was built around this time would probably not even be famous at all today. Britannic probably wouldn't be as famous because it's her Titanic sister ship, and I really can't answer that question to the full perspective though, because well, Titanic did sink and there's nothing I can do about that because that's history. But yeah, have you ever read The Sea of Glass? I have not, but I've been very looking forward to reading that. And also welcome, Alistair. I believe that's your name. But guys, this is what I took the photo of today's stream. It is amazing. This right here is the most, I would say almost the most beautiful scene on Titanic as you are walking up F deck. You only can see this on F deck because F deck shows you every single deck going up. Isn't it just fantastic? Like, this is the grand staircase. This is the, I'm almost going to say it, the heart of Titanic. apart from the engine room, the boilers that actually run Titanic, this right here is what passengers look forward to the most on Titanic. It is beautiful walking up these stairs to go eat, to go to the top deck, to the boat deck, and socialize with other passengers or family members or friends. This is the deck. And as you're walking up here, again, the details are fantastic. Now, the flooring is also, of her day, the best it has ever been. They didn't use this stuff back then. This is like very new things. This is stuff that they used in mansions because, well, only the rich people really had the ability to use this stuff, and it wasn't really something that anyone used. They used hardware floors in their houses. This was a new type of flooring. Can anyone guess what that flooring is? I'll give you guys a second. Most of you probably will. Like how I non-consent 2003 Clone Wars canonized. Yeah, pretty much there, Gio. I can barely hear. Uh-oh. Well, I have my mic all the way up. Hopefully you guys can hear. Everyone can hear, correct? Making sure that everyone can hear. It's kind of odd. I'll keep an eye on that, though. I know that the wreck, the grand staircase, is a giant hole going into the depth. Pretty much, yeah, Titanic's grand staircase does not exist at all today. Plain and simple. Unfortunately, it just doesn't, but it is still beautiful. I remember when I was on Titanic, it was so fun. Yeah, there's so much Titanic museums that show sections of Titanic. It's just insane. Anyway, let's carry on with this. Now, obviously, if I were to go through this, it'd be the Scotland Road. This is the main passageway in Titanic. And this is sadly what I like to say, what sunk Titanic. In a way. I don't know how to describe it. It is a road in a way that runs through the entire Titanic. But unfortunately, due to it being there and there's nothing else that could stop the water from there, water just had a clear passageway through the entire Titanic. Like, there was nothing stopping it. After it got through one of the watertight doors, it could just go through the entire thing. It could mosey its little way around through. Because after it got up through every boiler room, you have to understand the decks and the doors that were there, the doors that are holding the water back can just... they're not designed for it. So they're just going to flood in and then ultimately come up to this section. Now, when Titanic was sinking, and I will discuss this more in when the actual sinking stream that I have coming up next weekend, I almost want to say that down here was flooding first, and then as it got up here, this is my personal opinion after doing a little bit of research and just kind of like a little bit of things. Water didn't get completely up the stairs before water started coming in from here. That's what I think a couple of you guys have to understand. And I'm not a genius or a research nerd completely. I mean, as I love Titanic, I don't have everything completely understood. But I don't think that water was able to reach all the way up here. I'm almost certain, and obviously we weren't on Titanic that night, we couldn't say anything about it, but I think water came through this doorway and started filling up the rest down here before water even got up this stairway. It is because the way Titanic was positioned when she was sinking, and the way water works. It is very interesting, it is very weird, but because the boiler rooms filled up first and they just came flooding around and then it came down through here. This wasn't completely filled due to that. I'm almost certain it was because of this watertight door that you see, well, that you really can't see down here, but there is a watertight door right behind here. I know that you say an iceberg didn't doom the ship, but that's what... I didn't say that I didn't say an iceberg. I said an iceberg did sink the ship. I don't know where that came from. An iceberg did sink the ship, I'll tell you that. Designers got to do a demolition. Oh wait, you can't demolish Titanic. This is the most beautiful ship in the world. In a way, for those who didn't answer the question though that I asked earlier, this is aluminum flooring. It's like a tile kind of aluminum floor. Again, wasn't used back then. It is obviously used a whole lot today, but back then it was like the golden stuff. This was like for rich people. But yeah, I think it's a really good flooring design through Titanic because it really did work, and it lasted the entire Titanic through the time Titanic floated, probably much longer. And fun fact, a lot of this stuff is still intact today, which is also just fantastic to know that things like this all the way 112 years ago is still intact. This flooring is still not, it's not popped up. A lot of it's still like connected to Titanic, which is even more insane to even think about. It's crazy. But yeah, this section right here was the most crucial role for Titanic sinking. Once water came up this stairway, everything was done for. Nothing was held back. And that's all I'll say for this, because there is a sinking video, well, live stream that I'm going to be doing, and we're going to be doing the entire night of just Titanic sinking, which is going to be insane. Back here is a circuit breaker kind of box, and what I love about Titanic the most is they kept this stuff so well hidden from the public. Like, beams and stuff had actual wiring and stuff running through it. Isn't that incredible? Beams such as, not of course these ones, but as we work up the grand staircase, actually have wiring that run through the beams that hide the entire wiring section. Power plant, in my opinion, that I want to say. But these are just covered up. No one really knows that these doors are here once they're, of course, covered up. And that's the insane part. The grand staircase is definitely the most iconic room on Titanic. Of course, when you show a picture of Titanic, most people are going to show the grand staircase. That's the easiest way to tell Titanic, apart from its name, of course. I keep waiting for Zoner to say one bad thing about Titanic. Copper, I don't know if I can. Titanic was... I can't describe it. It was the most luxurious ship. The greatest ship that sailed the ocean in her time. That's why I want to recreate this in Lego. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be identical, because it's very hard to do that when you don't have the original instructions, in a way. I do have instructions, and I did talk to Titanic Honor and Glory. This is official now. I did talk to Titanic Honor and Glory, and I will be working on building this Titanic, but I will be using their instructions, and I can only show very little glimpses of the instructions because obviously I don't want to get in trouble. But yes, I do have Titanic Honor and Glory instructions that will help me build Titanic. I will be basing this off this, but the instructions will be used to build it, if you guys can understand. The color and all that stuff will be built off this game, or this, as I keep calling it a game, but I don't want to call it a game because it's not a game. It is a historical gameplay. I don't know how to say it. I really don't know. But yeah, this is the circuit breakers. Funny thing, not funny really at all. Water touches this. You know how it goes. Water and electricity do not mix. I'm assuming as soon as the water touched the circuit breaker, or just anywhere near it, everything popped, and this would explain why Titanic's lights would go completely out before the water even hit the ceiling. And several of Titanic's grand staircase scenes, if you guys look at Titanic Honor and Glory D-Deck sinking, which is up a deck from here, you will, when we did that game, that little playthrough of when it was sinking, you will notice that Titanic's lights went out before the water even touched the ceiling or even got anywhere close to it, apart from, of course, the swimming and bath, Turkish bath, because these were wired differently. You will notice that the lights went out because water touches the circuit breaker. There goes all your electricity right there. Yeah, and this ultimately was why Titanic's lights went out before water even thought about touching it. It's insane that Titanic has little details like this that people don't take the time to actually look at. Because ultimately this is what, put the lights out. Water very rarely through Titanic got all the way up to the lights because the circuit breakers broke before that. The fishies on Titanic right now, glow, glow, bubble, bubble, and oh, Geo. What really amazes me is how well preserved the Turkish baths are. Yes, that is just insane right now. I cannot believe the Turkish baths are as good as they are right now. So yeah, and we will continue talking about all of the sinking stuff through Titanic's sinking night stream that I keep plugging. That will eventually happen very, very soon, next week. But guys, just a picture of this. Thinking of Titanic sinking right now, and you're looking. No, you're not even looking. You're just kind of like looking up, and you're peeking your eye around here. You see water coming up. I'd be a little frightened. I think everyone else can explain or be the same way. Especially since the most beautiful, the most luxurious, the most wonderful ship that is crossing the ocean at the time is flooding with water, and people are not even being told what is going on. That's why people are frightened. A lot of Titanic's luxurious rooms were just copies of other ships during the time, such as Mauretania, Lusitania, and Oceanic, but just bigger in size. And I completely agree with that one. There's also just way more on top of that, though. Titanic was also given more rooms than those ships could even ever think about having, because Titanic was bigger than them. If you guys look at a picture of Titanic and Lusitania right next to each other, you will see Titanic dwarf the Lusitania. It's amazing. It legit dwarfs the entire thing. And then you put a ship of these days next to Titanic and see how much Titanic gets dwarfed by them. It's weird, but fascinating at the same time. Like I said in the beginning of this stream, we're not really going too far back here, but we do have to take a touch on the elevator system going behind here. They're almost all the same throughout every single level, but of course E-Deck is the bottom level for the elevator system. It is pretty much what runs the ending of you can't go any farther down the elevator, if I want to say it that way. You have to take the stairs from here, which is understandable. I like the open space the open space that they have in the ship. I think it's enough to allow passengers to wait and then enter into the elevator. There is 3 elevators, and they also get time to have enough passengers be able to step out and not have to trample over every single other passenger as they're like proceeding through their rooms and stuff. Because you got to understand that we have rooms down here and throughout here, and yeah. They also provided a little bit of seating. I think that there should have been more seating, like a couple more down here, just because this is not really I guess they might not have to do that, but it's a space where people and passengers just need to operate and get onto the elevator. So I guess maybe you don't really need to have that, but at a section of just being able to sit down is also very important, of course. Could use a little bit more nature, maybe some trees or something. I'm not here to tell people on Titanic 112 years ago to rebuild Titanic all over again, and when you rebuild it, this is what you need to put in there. I'm just saying things that probably could have been a little bit nicer, but you know, Titanic isn't a ship that floats anymore right now, so can't do anything about that. However, I can absolutely agree that Titanic was an amazing ship. Yeah, we all can agree. That's why we're all here. Also, I can't go in the elevators, but I can show you the elevators as we get up higher. There is a platform right here that stops the elevators to where they can't go anywhere. You also have to understand, in Titanic's time, elevators just got complete. I think it was not 2000. It was 1903. It was the very early 1900s that elevators were invented. So the fact that it's on Titanic, the largest steamboat or steamship, let me say that, is amazing. It is the greatest ship in the world that has elevators that weren't even thought of being put on ships, because only a few ships had this at the same time as this. It was more of the large steam ships that had it, or Royal Mail ships and all that other stuff. But yeah, enough about this. There's not a whole lot we can do about that. All of this right here isn't really the greatest spot to be, because you have people walking all around, and you have elevators operating right behind it. I don't think these are rooms. I could be wrong. I think these are more of closet and storage space, which Titanic had way more than any ship could ever dream of having, of storage and closet space, which is insane because their coal storage section is in itself insane enough. I do also know that Titanic was built as a response from the White Star Line to Cunard when they built Lusitania. Yeah, Titanic and Olympic and Britannic were in my way I want to say it, how do I want to say it? I would say a kind of like a threat. Hey, look, we are the White Star Line. We are the grandest. We are the best. And we are going to provide the most luxurious ships to go across the ocean. We care less about speed. We just want passengers to have the most luxurious and fun time to get across the ocean. They don't care about the speed, but of course Titanic didn't have to care about speed because she was probably one of the fastest White Star Line ships that they had still. Being 22, 23 miles per hour for being how large she is in itself amazing. The detail on the side of the staircases are amazing. I forgot what this is called. I know it, but I forget sometimes, like we all do. But I love this. This will be very hard to make when I make the Titanic behind me, but we will figure that out when we get to that point. As we walk up E-deck, because we are no longer on our wonderful, most boringest deck, F-deck, we are on E-deck. Again, we are walking up slowly, and also, by the way, this is a very medium-sized, like, locker / closet. More space for Titanic, closet space. It even might help out with the elevators. I could be wrong. I'm still in the phase of researching and trying to get as much information that I can get. So if I do things wrong, say it out in the chat. We are going to go up here now, and this is E-deck. Obviously, I believe a good chunk of Titanic's decks had a clock on it because passengers needed to know the time, and not everyone had a stopwatch back then, or a pocket watch, or not a stopwatch, but a pocket watch, or a watch that we have like today. The smart watches definitely did not exist back in the early 1900s. Chat broken for Ben. I feel like the aft grand staircase is as beautiful as the main. The aft grand staircase is almost the exact same grand staircase, and if I want to say it that way, as this one, just built in a smaller replica. If I were to go show you that right now, it would be almost the same. There's not really a difference. It's just a lot smaller. It's like half the size. But still in itself, a very cool ship section. Another cool thing is there is a painting as well on every, I don't want to say every deck. We'll wait till I actually get up because I'm not sure if every deck actually has a painting, but I do know they have a painting on E deck. And what's also fascinating is, unfortunately, I can't look down too far, but I can also look down to F deck if I so choose. That's what I like about Titanic compared to cruise ships these days. You cannot look down all the way to the bottom of the ship just because of the way they're designed. I also like this. The pattern that they have below each of the staircases, it goes up at an angle because people on the other side are walking up the stairs. It makes no sense if it was going the opposite way. But it's really cool to see that, like, kind of like a textured panel that runs up here. And of course this no longer exists today because it's all out of Titanic. But it's kind of fascinating to see that this is a very interesting thing. They could have just like left this all flat. They could have, but they have to add some more detail, like how well they put into the Titanic. Titanic itself is a pop culture icon. Agreed. Of course, also I want to mention that they did put more furniture here so that when you got down the stairs, if you were exhausted, which a lot of people can get exhausted. I know older people can get exhausted. Children might have lost a shoe as they were flying down the stairs. Who knows what was going on, It's kind of hard to tell what, things happened on Titanic through the days because we weren't there. But we use survivor testimonies, which unfortunately there is no one alive that we can base it off, but we use past survivor testimonies work just fine. It's just cool that the furniture that they use isn't basic furniture. It's neat. It represents Titanic in all of its fashion that it already has. It wasn't some cheap wooden chair that they just threw on here from the deck. It was pretty good seating arrangement thing that Titanic had. For all of you that are joining, though, I have a Titanic behind me right now that I am working on designing right now. So if that's what you see behind me, or that's what you were wondering, that is what's behind me. Also, you could like the stream. That's also very good. We can get more people out. But yeah, carrying back on. Just had to kind of have a little bit of fun time, through this. It's cool. This is a nice scene, though. You get to kind of overview E deck from a section of D deck, and I could do this on either side because both sides are the same. Neither side's different. But it's also fascinating, though, that the detail runs up the columns. At the top of the columns, there is just sections that go around it. It's fascinating, though. I can never get enough of Titanic. Never. And people criticize me for that. But even these little details make a difference. What color would you say the grand staircase was? That is a very good question, Alistair. The color of the grand staircase. Man, you really got me there. Well, obviously, first off, I'm almost certain that they used oak. I think it was oak. I believe it was oak. Red-brown color. I really don't know the color. There we go, we're back on. Sorry about that, guys. Ultimately, my internet's favorite deck. You know why? Because each time I go on D deck, my internet likes to crash. So that means, of course, Titanic's D deck internet service definitely did not work out well. Someone want to tell Titanic to put some good internet service on D deck because it would be useful. I love how my string crashes all the time on D deck, or does something on D deck. Maybe because it's the most beautiful ship section in Titanic, which is ultimately my personal favorite Titanic deck of all time. Guys, this is beyond ridiculous, beyond fantastic. Holy moly, this is amazing. I don't even know where to start for D deck. Maybe I guess we start back from here. This is the second last floor of the elevators, of course. Elevators could go one more floor below, which is D deck, or E deck, sorry. And now I'm getting a very good tickle in my throat. Make sure you guys are hydrated, of course. That's how you do when you talk so much. Sorry about that. The furniture on this deck. Boom. Got like... When I say D deck is my favorite deck, D deck is my favorite deck. And it also comes to a experience of D deck is also a lot of other people's favorite deck because... Sorry. D deck just looks the greatest and the most luxurious decks of all of Titanic. Just alone, this is where passengers would come into Titanic on both sides. So you would have those, of course. We are not going to be going down the room or down into the rooms. We're just going to stay right here. But isn't this fantastic, guys? Look at the beautiful furniture that they use. It is flower furniture. There's cherry furniture. Guys, I would love to sit on this couch. I don't know why, but this couch looks very comfortable right now. And I think it would match my room really nice. I'm just kidding, guys. But I really do like that couch. Personally, as a guy, I think that's a nice couch. I think it fits this floor very well. Hello from Las Vegas. Thank you for the stream. I learned so much when I watched you, Zoner. Please continue the great work. Hey, thank you so much there, Ron. Ron Radio. First off, very interesting name. Love it. And second off, I appreciate people that actually like to stick around and enjoy content that I put time into. I have a very interesting work schedule, so I can't unfortunately make videos all the time, but making live streams time to time I think is very interesting and very fun to make and do and see the outcome of them. I love the outcome, and I love the fantastic positivity about Titanic that makes me just feel happy. Titanic is something that I love. Legos are something I like too, but I think it's even cooler to incorporate both of them together. But of course, Titanic, if I had to compare both of them, Titanic's going to be a little higher because I love Titanic. I love the details that people don't talk about. This is one thing that I personally, as a YouTuber on my end, want to show you guys. Again, this is Titanic Honor Glory, but the details alone on this ship show the creativity of the artist, of the designers, of the architecture work on Titanic. These aren't just some simple put together slap in the wall, okay, I'm done now, like a lot of people today do. No, this was, okay, I have 50 people in here, for example, working very hard on trying to make this the best room or best section on Titanic that it can possibly be. Each of them had that in mind to make this ship the best ship. This is where Titanic takes the leap compared to other ships. It is because Titanic had the most detailed, in my opinion, decks. I mean, and it continues onto the ceiling. It does not just stay on the walls, it continues up. This is what separates E deck and F deck from D. Plain and simple. I love it. I truly do love it. And I also find it interesting that right behind, I think behind one of these or something like that, there is more circuit breakers and panels behind here. Because, again, Titanic was very creative. They thought of ideas and places that they can put things that passengers wouldn't notice. And it turned out very well because, obviously, if you go down and look at E-decks again, those doors were shut. No one's going to really know that the circuit breakers are there. And not that they could even get into the circuit breakers, because who would want to even get into circuit breakers? Unless you're an electrician. The dining room is a very elegant, beautiful room. Completely agree. I can't say much more than that, which I'm already saying. Did his stream freeze or just me? Yeah, we did have a little bit of that issue. Sorry, I'm a little behind now. I'm almost certain that these are also decorations that continue to go throughout Titanic's walls, which are, guys, this is just amazing. Amazing. These, I believe, are heaters that go along Titanic's walls to help kind of heat the D deck up and kind of just provide the heat it needs. And I'm reason why I think these are almost certain that these are heaters are because this is not a normal deck. This is where people are also coming in when they arrive and when they leave Titanic. They need to keep this deck warm. Yeah, this deck was letting all of that warm or cold air out, and they needed to keep it heated or AC'd or whatever to make Titanic better. Again, the columns are fantastic. And if you also look at it, they have electricity running through them. Boom, again, things on Titanic that make Titanic Titanic. I can't even go any farther than that. Okay, let's get out of this section because I will talk all night about D-Deck. And I honestly will because this is my favorite deck. I can't believe we're already 40 minutes in and I haven't even got up even farther than this. This will be an interesting stream. I will say that. Perfect. They are almost similar to E-decks if you look at them. Other than E-decks are not designed to be like D-decks. D-decks are more... It's in a section of Titanic where it is super light and the walls contract with the floor and the furniture. So they needed lights that kind of worked with this deck, which were different than the other decks. If you look at the electricity of the lights, these ones aren't like beaded or like braided, whatever you want to call it, or as fancy as these ones, but they certainly were beautiful again. I also love, okay, well, not love. I also find it interesting that this is the deck where the power just dims very light. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but once D-Deck floods, the entire D-Deck floods, Titanic's lights and electricity kind of dim down lower. And I don't really know how to describe it, but they... Maybe my internet might work. Maybe not. We'll find out. There we go. Back up. Oh, look, fucking likes me now. Delightful. Shall we resume? Anyway, completely apologize about that. Internet, every once in a while, likes to be itself, but I won't let internet, in a way, take me out. Titanic. There we go. Now we're back. Don't you love my internet? Sorry about that, guys. And we are back. Anyway, as I was saying here, making sure, okay, there we go. I also love the dining room. It's so beautiful. Yeah, completely agree with you there, the zombie killer. Yeah, and for those who don't know what the dining room is, if you look right across, the dining room is directly straight from me. If I so choose to go that way, which unfortunately we got more pressing matters to do. I say that I don't know why. This is an interesting perspective. I'm certain I don't know this one because I haven't done enough research to ever tell me if this is or not. I think this is carpet. I'm not certain if it's carpet, but I think this is carpet. But it looks like tile, which makes me wonder if it's tile too. So that point, I make myself look like it's tile too. I don't know. Definitely need to figure that one out, but I think it is actually tile now that I look at it, right? Carrying on, I don't know what it is, but these look way different. The oak and the wood that they used on this deck looks so much different, and I think it's just because there's so much white and so much like furniture that's like not as dark that contrasts with this and make it look lighter. I don't completely know. Who knows? I've just noticed that though. It's weird because the lights down here aren't as bright when it comes to that. It looks totally like way different. It's weird. The doors that they use are beyond fascinating again. I love the door texture that they use because it's a mixture of steel, glass, and wood, oak, and this is what kind of gives Titanic more of its, again, beautiful, wonderful, luxurious feeling. And I'm still on this. The fascinating part of Titanic's D-deck, the most luxurious part in Titanic, again, in my opinion, D-deck, is this. I'm not entirely sure what they used on the ceiling of D-deck, assuming it's wood, but by goodness here though, it is fantastically done. Could you guys imagine having to like drill and just like make this deck look good? Like, it is insane. And now that I just look at it, I bet you like each of one of these to make this look this good without having to see the screws and nails, these little dots you see, I bet you these cover up the screws and nails that they used back then. I don't know, they use nails. But even then, I bet you this covered all that up. How much you want to bet? I won't bet that. I'm thinking that. I don't want to bet things because you know where that gets me in life. But yeah, isn't it just fantastic that the texture that they use in the ceiling and the base of Titanic's walls and ceiling are just amazingly goodness. I can't even describe this, guys. How am I gonna... How could someone who walks on this Titanic, first time, you're just getting on Titanic, or you're just getting out of here, you're walking, and you come into the, again, I'm going to flat out say this, most beautiful room in Titanic. Flat out going to tell you this. This is insane. Let me see if my... Not that. My camera kind of shut down on me. Sorry about that. Anyway. Yeah, this is insane. Just walking through this door and into... Oh, I already said it. That is hilarious. Isn't that funny? I pretty much already told myself what was going to be here. A circuit breaker. Guess what? Totally right there. This one looks way more complicated for some odd reason. Maybe it's because there's actually more power in this one than there is on E-Deck. But guys, they painted this white. This didn't come white. They painted this white, of course. But they didn't paint this white, which is odd. Why wasn't this painted white? Probably because no one cared, and it was going to be hidden behind a door, so no one really cared. But details like these still remain. 36 circuit breakers, it looks like. 36 times 2 equals I think I might do my math now. 72 if I'm correct. Yeah. 72. So 72 of that is a lot, and then you could toggle up and down on which of these ones you kind of wanted that would connect to each of these little circuits, I'm assuming. Am I the only person that goes through these circuits? I swear I probably am. I'm almost certain that I'm the only YouTuber that goes through the circuit breakers this detailed. Maybe because I'm just so fascinated and so, like, can't even describe this anymore on the luxuriousness of circuit breakers, I guess. But yeah. The furniture just contrasts into this, and I'm not going to spend too much more time on this deck because we have spent, I would say, 2/3 of this was already just on this deck alone, because this deck is the best deck. Obviously, I'm going to spend the most amount of time on my favorite deck. But carrying on, there is a bunch of more, like, just furniture, as you can already see right around here. And as you go through here, this is due to just wanting to have places to sit for people. Think about it. You're going to get down. You're going to come right in Titanic. You're going to want to sit. Then you get this natural light. And guys, the fascination about these beautiful stained glass windows are insane. Whoever decided that this stained glass windows would fit perfectly here was brilliant, because they did that very well. You could also let the air in too. You could open the portholes and bring the air in, which is even more insane. Being down on the lower deck meant that airflow was harder to get, but not in Titanic. Airflow was almost perfect for Titanic because all they had to do was open these windows up and airflow was coming in. And I think, yeah, it continued into the dining spaces as well. And unfortunately, these tables and chairs should just get trampled as I walk over them, but they don't. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. But guys, I think the most important thing about D-Deck, and I will completely say this out before I answer a couple or go through a little bit of comments. The fascinating thing about D-Deck, the most important thing about D-Deck, is this was probably the deck where passengers felt like they were rich in a way. I don't know how I want to say it. Where they felt like they were on a ship that was full of luxurious things. Really, I mean, I can't describe this anymore. This is probably the section of Titanic that people felt the most amount of their money being poured into. Because anyone that got to sit in this deck probably loved it. Not even probably. Anyone that got to sit in this deck was probably just amazed. They were probably like, okay, maybe I should get this at my house. I'm just kidding. Could you guys imagine my house looking like this? That'd be kind of cool. No. This is the one piano that Titanic had in D-Deck section. They had 5 or 6 pianos on Titanic. And this is just one of them, which is very fascinating to see. Golly, I'd love to play this piano right now. Makes me want to play this piano. And then the band would kind of play down here as well. Their instruments, their violins, their cellos, and this, and the other instruments that they had, just made this deck even more important, if it wasn't already as important or as grand and luxurious as it was. And then the table and the furniture is built off again. Guys, I cannot go on any longer with how good this ship is when it comes to D-Deck. And then to top this all off, those were either coming into the room or down the stairs of D-Deck get this beautiful artwork painted on here. Or put into here, this picture. Guys, this is beautiful. Holy smokes. Whoever thought that this would be a good thing to put in here would grab people's attention. The detail back way before him. And I think this right here, this picture, actually fits really well because history works well with Britain. The United Kingdom had a lot of history, and I feel like this would have probably been a very good picture to put in Titanic. Especially as you're walking down and the carpet matches the picture. That is funny. If you couldn't put the picture in a different spot, or in this room, this exact room, how funny is it that it matches this flooring? Love it. And then to finish it off, guys, to finish D-Deck off in general, because the stairwells are done the exact same way as the other decks are, this is insane. As I described already in the actual thumbnail, this is insane. This light is beautiful. My favorite light. If I could have this right here, I could hold this, shine it, whatever, I would love to. I want this light. I don't know why. This is probably the most fascinating part of Titanic I loved. Even watching Titanic sink, I was like, I think I cried the first time I saw this light just black out. Because it's depressing. Watching Titanic just sink, and then you looking at this light and just watching it burn out. Oh, it blew me. It really did. I really thought that this light meant a lot to me. I don't know why. And I think it's just because it is a very fascinating light, and it's something that doesn't get used a lot today. You don't see a lot of these. Well, in general, you don't see the light bulbs. Not a lot of lights used at these days. And it was more of the candle aspect, and because you don't want to put candles on a ship, otherwise you're going to burn the ship down, and that's going to go well. This was the perfect chance to put that there. And boy, when Titanic was sinking, this was probably, in my opinion, just a sad part. Because, funny fact, Titanic's light up in the ceiling went out before this guy. Because the lights were connected. This one was connected differently. I forgot how this one's connected. But the lights that are on the ceiling are connected totally different than the lights right here, which made them go out, the majority of them go out before this one even went out. I don't know. This is the last light on D-Deck, or almost one of the last lights. As Titanic was sinking, if you were to walk down Titanic and this was flooding with water, this deck, or this light right here, would be the last hope. You couldn't see much more. This would be lit up, and obviously, like I mentioned earlier in this stream section, the electricity on D-Deck, as soon as D-Deck electricity, or D-Deck, all the D-Deck lights were flooded and stuff, Titanic's lights dimmed off a little bit. I don't know if you look at it really closely, they did. And I think it's just because Titanic's D-Deck held an entire section of power and circuitry and just a bunch of other stuff, and also just beyond much more stuff. Yeah, this was the deck that changed Titanic course of the sinking and changed everything. But we get a flower in a pot. Not just a flower, many flowers in a pot, which is beautiful because it works out really well with the aspect of this. Now, if you notice, this deck does not have a clock. If you go down to E deck, it has a clock. F deck doesn't have a clock either, I don't think. Making me wonder. Let me check this. I didn't think F deck had a clock, but now I've really got to make sure. I don't want to give you guys false information. Aha, I was right. It didn't have a clock. Also, the fantastic railings on here were done really well. But we're not really on that anymore. We're up to D-Deck again. Yeah. Holy smokes. That was insane. But when we get up to C-Deck, it has a clock. Are you guys noticing something? Every other floor has a clock. And then every other floor, how do I want to say that? Every other floor has a painting of some sort. Isn't that weird? That's kind of cool. I like that. Now we're on to C-Deck. C-Deck is definitely more boring than D-Deck. But, again, the elevators continue on the C-Deck because obviously this is the middle of the ship. You need to have elevators on the ship too. You can't have them on the bottom two and then the top two and not have them in the middle. But these are heaters. What's interesting about these heaters are these guys definitely had a lot of heat. And they were also new. Not a lot of these ships had these. These ships had the furnaces. And I don't know if these were ran by electricity or if they were actually ran by the steam through piping that led into these. I'm almost certain that's the way it was put in. I think it was the piping. I think it was steam, but I could be wrong. Let me get back onto this. The bridge is my favorite part of Titanic. Yeah, Ron, I think that's a lot of people's favorite part of Titanic. It's just what runs Titanic. It is very fantastic to see a Titanic bridge that was exclusive, again, to Titanic and Olympic and Britannic. They were almost all identical. And yeah, I love it too. Not my favorite part of Titanic, but I will give credit to you that it is definitely my top 10 of favorite things in Titanic. I agree that modern cruise ships look hideous. Guys, all 6 of you guys can classify that Titanic is clearly better than any modern day cruise ship? And if so, put it in the chat right now that Titanic is clearly better than any other ocean liner. Ocean liners are so much better than cruise ships. Cruise ships are so ugly and so horrible that clearly I cannot be wrong on this one. Please tell me. Anyway, elevators continue through C deck along with the furniture, and what's kind of cool about this is there's no couch. It is just chairs. And this is different because C deck wasn't really a okay, I want to go have fun on C deck sort of thing. It was definitely not one of those decks. And here's why. C deck was in the middle of Titanic. There was rooms down here. There was rooms down there. And then on the other side. And the other side. And then down these little corridors. And this. C deck was not one of those decks that people could just come have fun. It was one of those decks where you gotta mail a postcard in for, you know, the wireless room to send out or something, or you got some other things. This is a deck to go do it. It is to kind of do a little bit of job, like a small little jobs and stuff. It led them to their rooms. That's what this deck was for. Plain and simple. That's why I'm not going to say so much about this one. Other than, again, looking at the beams and the ceiling, the structure, a lot of this right here was ran with electricity and wires through this huge beam right here, if you look at it closely. Along with this one too. This is electricity that ran through Titanic and gave her Titanic's power without people seeing it. You oftentimes see power, or you oftentimes, let me say this, see the piping on Titanic, but do you see the electricity and the wires? No, because why would someone want to see wires sticking out of sections? One, that is highly dangerous because someone could really pull that and do something to it. And two, maybe all right. I know it likes me. I know the internet likes me. Come on. Steady. There we go. Come on. We're good. Maybe. Alright, guys. Definitely not on my side tonight. Like it never is. Internet always has to be difficult on my end. I don't understand why it does, but it does. Yeah. Carrying on again. I apologize for that internet delay there. Yeah. Oh wait, we're going through the wrong section of Titanic there. All right. Wow. We've went through F deck, E deck, D deck, and now we're on C deck. F deck was that boring deck. E deck was the somewhat okay, passengers kind of went to their rooms kind of deck. D deck was the best deck in my opinion. And now we're on the other deck, C deck, which was a mid kind of deck in my opinion. Nothing too fancy. Again, this was a deck that led passengers to their rooms and their sections. So there wasn't really anything that you could do that was fascinating. and passengers are enjoyed to stay this sea trial of Titanic Project 401. Let's see how much of you guys know what 401 means. Maybe someone's got to know this. All right. Hey, Zoner Designs. I have been a Titanic enthusiast since I was a child. I know the ship very well. Yeah. Same with me. Almost. I think it's been since I was 6 years old that I have loved Titanic. And I always will. There's a clock on here. And I also like that there's also a smoking sign on both sides. It is the common ways are strictly what's it called? Are strictly forbidden. That means anything down here, do not smoke. By Titanic's crew. And yeah, that wouldn't go well on either side. Ooh, what's that? Oh, hello there. That is what in the heck? Oh my. Holy moly, guys. Going to that today, but holy smokes. Boy, was that really cool. Daggone. I mean, holy cow. I cannot believe that was even on this deck. That, my friends, is why C-Deck is where all the passengers fled to when they needed to go to their rooms. Anyways, I also like that they incorporated these onto Titanic. I'm not too into these, if I want to say it. Like, I don't have enough information to kind of go off. But these, I believe, were kind of like a Greek sort of thing. Again, I am not perfect on this. I don't know everything about Titanic, but I do know that I don't know completely, but I know that these were kind of needed to be incorporated in Titanic because it matched their style, and it was kind of like a Greek sort of thing. I think it was some sort of country's history kind of thing that they used, and I forgot their names. Isn't that fascinating, guys? I forget the names. And also, if you guys notice that these were on F or E deck, I like these. I like the little details of these that just make Titanic Titanic. Don't you love it all? Anyway, as I said, each stairwell you go up, you're going to run into painting. Another beautiful picture here. This one's actually different. It's instead of a flower pot or a picture of a entire like war scene or castle scene, if I want to say it that way, this is an actual like lady. And the pictures that were chosen for these decks were there for a reason. I'm not too sure about what her name is, but I know she does have a very important role for this entire Titanic adventure, and well, she's on their wall for a reason. As you continue to make it up, forget about C-Deck now, because like honestly, C-Deck is one of those decks where I would just walk right through. I don't really care too much about it other than the mail room, the post office room. B-Deck, on the other hand, is an entirely different story. B-Deck holds a lot of interesting and a lot of potential, well, not potential, a lot of things in B-Deck. First off, we continue with this wood going all the way up, and we get to see the elevators here now. So here are the elevators. We will hop into one of these. I cannot go down or up, but there are mirrors on both, or no wait, I'm sorry, all three sides. The ceiling has one light, and that is also very fascinating. kind of how you can see up or down these little glass mirrors as well on the ceiling. But what's even more fascinating is they include these very, like, this is like D deck, but D deck times 2, where they put even more detail into the elevators. And these are lights. I don't know if any of you guys know that, but well, am I right or not? I think I am. I think these are lights that kind of work off. I don't know how to describe it. I thought these were lights. They might not be. Who knows? The history of Titanic still remains with me. Anyway, yeah. So, and then you get a nice, good seating couch for those who do not want to stand on an elevator. And something you don't see, again, is chairs or anything like that in an elevator. You just don't. It's not a thing that you see. And if you do, I want to know, because I don't see chairs or anything in an elevator that involves anything like that. Unless someone is actually physically taking it down from a grocery store or something. But that is not happening. Say that. And the flooring is done in a different color than normal. Instead of the white and black, it is done in red and black. And they are all done the same way, so there's no difference between any of these elevators, other than, of course, each of these elevators are on different little sections, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, that's about it. No difference there. The chairs, they bring 1 or 2 chairs back, and then they bring the couch back. Forget about the chairs that they had, the 6 chairs they had down on C deck, they brought the couches back. Which is great if you have an entire family that wants to sit on a couch. Going down here, we have the B deck elevator sign and the B deck logo sign there, along with the rooms that it's telling you. And again, smoking is completely forbidden to go down there. But you get basic furniture on this deck, because again, this deck was a mid deck in a way, if I want to say it that way. First off, we won't go through here yet, but we will soon. It's not one of those decks that had a lot of things on it. It was one of those decks that gave you access to our favorite part, going through these. Just kidding. No. You did get to go through here, though, and you did get to see the ocean and the water and every wonderful, beautiful thing. And, well, let me do that again. And the steel, of course, because everyone wants to look at steel, apparently. Just kidding. I definitely don't want to. But yeah. And also, can I state that these windows were able to be rolled like a car used to be back in like 90s and 80s and before? Not like the buttons we have today. It was a roll down kind of style. And they didn't roll down, they rolled towards you. Even more interesting. Hey, how do you feel about C-Deck? My thoughts about C-Deck, though, sorry, I'm a little behind in chat. C-Deck is not, personally, not one of my favorite decks. I don't really, it's not a bad deck. It's just one of those decks I don't really, it's not my go-to. When I think of a Titanic deck, I think of D deck. I also think of F deck. As much as it's boring, F deck held the swimming pool. It had the Turkish bath and all of that. So obviously kind of had to think of F deck. And I think of A deck, or the Grand Staircase section, because that's how you access boat deck, kind of. And it's also one of those fancier decks too, again. I feel like A deck is also beautiful because it has a dome. Yeah, that's true. But we're not on A deck yet. So who cares about the Grand Staircase dome if we're not even there yet? Also, what's interesting though is the lighting is done differently, kind of on C deck and D deck, or C deck and B deck. The ways to go through and to get to your room are very fancy and well done, and electricity and piping kind of ran through here as well without being seen, which is even more interesting. Love it. But on this side, you have something special. You get the fancy more of these rims down here. These are beautiful. I can't even say it. This is just a beautiful section of Titanic. Could you imagine playing a game of cards on the deck, or just I don't know. Could you just imagine sitting down here and drinking tea with your family, or tea with a friend, or by yourself, reading a book in the morning on Titanic's deck? Holy moly, that'd be amazing. I could imagine just taking a nice, good, relaxing morning, forget about Titanic. I'm going to read my book, enjoy the fresh air at the same time, and get natural light inside Titanic's deck room. Like, amazing. That is fascinating so much that you get all of that, like just this deck alone. I don't know. I love it. This is why I love Titanic. You get so much things with Titanic. And so much detail. So much fantastic details. That you can never go wrong with Titanic. Carrying on, we get the B-deck clock and all that stuff. And yeah, plain and simple. B-deck is also one of those decks where it's super chill in a way, but B-deck also is one of those important decks because you get access to fresh air because it is so close to Titanic, or to the outside, or the farthest deck up, so which is boat deck. So as we go up, we have another picture here, and this picture is very unique as well because it is like fascinating the way that these pictures have been done the entire time. First off, I don't know if you haven't all noticed, but as you're looking around, you got all these flowers and extra details that run around through the entire section, which makes Titanic, of course. But then you have the detail of the picture, and I'm unsure completely about what this picture is actually demonstrated to. Obviously, there's some people here, and then you have like some land and trees and stuff, but I'm not too certain about that. I should like look into it, and maybe I should do a video on Titanic's pictures and what they all meant. Would anyone be interested in that? Because I think that'd be kind of cool. Doing pictures, Titanic's pictures on the decks of Grand Staircase. My heart will always belong to Titanic. To me, the ship's funnels are very iconic. I 100% agree. Titanic's funnels are very, very iconic. Anything about the ship, everything about the ship is incredible. Again, totally agree. I cannot influence that enough. I cannot say that enough. This is what makes Titanic Titanic. Every single deck, every single section of Titanic makes it Titanic. I wonder how Thomas Andrews would react to us and how we've been treating his ship. Well, let's say this way, we've been treating his ship very well, just totally not in a perspective that he thought of it being on the bottom of the ocean right now. Yeah. Anyway, guys, what deck are we on now? We are on A deck. Uh-oh. That means the dome. No, it means more than that. A deck is so beautiful. This is the best deck. Well, not the best, because D deck, in my opinion, is the best. This is the most iconic deck. This is the top of the elevators, by the way. They are fantastic. There's also like glass on the top of these like elevators, if you look at them. And that allows you to see kind of up to the next deck. Weird. And my tablet just shut down on me. There we go. Gotta keep watching chat. Making sure that chat's doing well. Anyway. But yeah, this is the A-deck elevators. And fascinating enough, this was where more rooms continued on. But the same thing, this provided way more seats and chairs because A-deck was one of those iconic decks. It was a go-to deck for passengers. Anything and everything around this deck involved sitting down and stuff. Like, there was a lot of seats down kind of around here. Basic furniture. You could go to the smoking rooms, the library section. The A-deck was fantastic. Now, this pole is in the weird... These, like, two poles are, like, in the weirdest spots. I'm surprised, like, that they just couldn't kind of... I don't know. There's, like, a lot of random, like, columns that are just put around here, which is weird. Obviously, they had to do that because it had to hold the entire section of Titanic up here. But isn't it just weird how, like, how much, like, they had to use for just a deck alone? And, by the way, you also could go to the boat deck. You had more... If I can get out of here. Well, I don't really want to go out. But there was, I mean, A-deck promenade. Like, as you saw right there. I gotta love a cafe prison. Yeah, I love that too. I cannot ever pronounce it correctly, as you probably just saw me screw it up pretty well. But yeah, I totally love that room. Don't worry, I know what that room means, or what it is. Honestly. Just cannot pronounce it to save my life, which always turns out to my thing. Never gonna pronounce the name right. I'm pretty sure that it's the room where Rose and Kyle had tea in the movie. Yeah, that was also the room that I was gonna mention that too, which was down in C deck. But guys, that was a very fascinating room. Because it held all of the details and just so much stuff in that room. It was insane. But yeah, apart from all the columns, we have the wonderful statue right here. It is really cool to just see the details on this, of this just entire statue of it. It's insane. Just like her holding the, like, me looking at this kind of like looks at the Statue of Liberty and then looks at, like, I don't know how to describe it, like an angel holding a Statue of Liberty kind of in a way, like, instead of, like, I don't know. It's very fascinating. I love it. I think it's great detail. Anyway, from behind you can see the entire section right here. Mind you, guess what? We get another clock. Man, I predict things really well. Now, if you go down here, you will notice that there's no clock. And this deck had two clocks. A-deck and boat deck had a clock, which is very fascinating. Always love that. But this is where more of that curvature, like, kind of happens. It's the ending of the Grand Staircase. It's the most grand part in Titanic. The most iconic part in Titanic. People are constantly in and out of this room. They are walking up and down, left and right, through the entire section of this. And somehow this is still one of the most iconic rooms in Titanic to this day. Now, at night, this room was fully lit. And boy, was it very bright in this section. And the Grand Staircase dome would be very lit up too, which made it even more cool. Then you have another piano. Again, I mentioned that there was, again, I believe there was 6 pianos, and one of them was on D deck, and the other one was right here. So there's 2 of the entire piano situations there. And then you kind of walk over to the other side, by the way. you have a good chunk of these ones on these decks. These little, very interesting. I want to call them like flowers budding for some odd reason. I don't know why, but they just fit that purpose. That's just me. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know. You also have, well, we're on a deck now, or boat deck, so you're able to look out and look at the lifeboats and the ocean, kind of. If you weren't blocked by the actual lifeboats, you probably would be to see the ocean. That's fascinating, though. If I were Titanic, I would have put a lot of the lifeboats up on top of the deck, on the boat deck. Because who cares about that? No one's really going to look at that. They're going to want to look out on the ocean. So you could put more lifeboats into the actual top deck. That's just my opinion. Or opinion section. The heaters. If you guys haven't noticed, though, if you look at it really closely, you can see that the heaters are moving. They are. Oh. I didn't know you could zoom in. That's interesting, guys. That's crazy. But look at that. That's heating up. Wow. Okay. That's cool. That's something interesting. But anyways, you can definitely see that this heater is, well, working. And it's coming out of the top, too. Isn't this fascinating, guys? Talk about Titanic. Talk about just the most grandest ship in the world. And it is just fascinating that I can zoom in and... Oh. Look at this, guys. Holy smokes. I could be like seated in the corner. Look how big this room is. Okay, let's get it down to decent size. That is fantastic to see. Anyway. 8 of you guys watching. Welcome. If you haven't, like the stream if you want. We are going to go into a very important room now. Anyone know what this is? I'll give you a second to guess, of course. Okay, I think my second's over now. This is the elevator section. So, every single elevator is below the 3 elevators. What ran the entire elevator section. It was complicated machinery that ran the entire elevator system, but you also had fresh air that ran through here, I believe. Well, no. This is like little skylight things. But, look at this. This is like just an entire elevator system of electricity and power that ran just one elevator. And there's 3 of them. Could you guys imagine what would happen, though, when water touched this? I think this would go kaboom, like, big time. Just like the wireless room. I think it'd be the same. But you did get the small heater here. Obviously because the heater would work great. Only because right above this was boat deck. Or not boat deck, but this was the ceiling to boat deck. Which meant if anything, it needed a heater here. Even though hot air rises. I'm not too sure what this is. Honestly, I'm not. That's a new one to me. Huh. You learn as you go. Then you got a sink here. And I also don't know what the purpose of a sink is on this section. Maybe just so you don't have to run the water all the way down and up to mop the floors and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting section. I know that you could have accessed the... Wait. Please do a video on the paintings. I enjoy hearing you talk about the paintings. Yeah, I should do a video on the paintings. I should. I will. Yeah, thank you, Ron. At least someone else actually agrees with me on that. I'm probably going to put that on my bucket list of Titanic paintings up through the Grand Staircase. I kind of will make it like separate though, because we'll have one dedicated to just the Titanic Grand Staircase paintings and then the rest of the ship. If that sounds okay, because that, well, would kind of make more sense. You'd kind of get a mixture of both. But guys, this is an art. This is a real piece of machinery and engineering right here alone. Man, guys, that really is getting me. It's fascinating, guys. I could not design this. How would someone be able to design this and be able to put this in here correctly and make sure that they ran correctly is an entirely different thing. And then be able to make sure that these are up to standards, running correctly, and not going to drop someone from ADAC all the way to FDAC or EDAC, and yeah, then get them injured. Yeah, I think this is just fascinating to see. But the sink's even more fascinating. I don't understand the sink part. I didn't understand the sink part. I'm not going to continue on to the officers' quarters because that's not really what this is designed for. But what is interesting, though, is this piping. What does that piping run to? We got to do a little bit of exploration here, guys. It runs down here. What in the world? And it just stops. Okay. What does that go to? I wonder if that goes up to, like, upstairs. Up on, like, the ceiling, up here. Huh. I have never noticed that. I also know that in the movie, the dome imploded during the sinking. Yeah, the dome imploded, but they also didn't really do the dome explosion kind of correctly, in my opinion. I think it could have been done a different way. Wait, let me describe this a little bit different. I think that the dome imploded in a certain way. It didn't really implode the way that they made it. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though. Because if you look at the Titanic Honor Glory section, as you watch the sinking, it does, like, sink a different way. And this isn't completely lit. I think that you have the entire, like, light in the middle, and then I'm not too sure if there's lights that run across the side of it too or not. But I do know that the entire thing wasn't lit up like they make it lit up like. I don't know. What is your favorite part of the ship? Thomas Andrews, welcome to the stream. My favorite part of the ship, squash court. It is the most basic but coolest room in my opinion, and it is so underrated. Like, anyone else agree with me? The squash court is such an underrated room in Titanic that never really gets talked about. That is also a video in itself that I have already started making. That definitely deserves some more love. But yeah, I can zoom in really well on this and look at the details on this. Is insane. How much closer can I get? Okay, that's probably as close as I can get. This is so weird, guys. It's like me, like, zooming in on a camera at 1912. Anyways, the details are really cool. They use steel and I think it's brass here too, or copper. No, they use copper to outline this design here, which makes it so famous and so fantastic to see. And I think it's really cool. As well as just a bunch of other stuff. Going back up, if I can. So, now we're in the side of the grand staircase, and it's a different perspective because when you're walking up the stairs that way, on the other side, it looks different than you actually being on the opposite side of the grand staircase. I really can't get a good look. I wish they allowed me to, like, look over this. Maybe there is a setting that I'm not looking at. Huh. Wait, this is interesting. I didn't know that this actually existed though. Reset zoom. Oh, okay. So you got menu, pause settings, zoom in out, interact. I didn't know we can interact. All right. That's interesting. Let me fix that quick. And then, yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a way like I can look down on this. I feel like there is, and I'm just not seeing it. Is it F? Sorry guys, but I do really want to actually like know if I can look down on this. Huh. Interesting. Anyway, forget about that part. We don't need to look down. We already know how well Titanic is. But the dude, if I can talk right, what it's also fascinating though is if you look down through this, as you probably seen in a couple photos, when Titanic is sinking, it is also just very tragic to see that. Okay, I'm looking down, and I'm seeing water coming up, not going down. I'm seeing water coming up. And I'm all the way up here looking down at water coming up. And it's starting to limitate where and what I can do. Because as each deck goes underwater, people are limited to what they can do and what places they can go. Because obviously, if F deck is sunk or underwater, you can't just go, I'm going to go through F deck to get to the swimming pool. Well, first off, you won't go to the swimming pool when it's sinking or not anyway. But second off, plain and simple, F deck was not a deck you wanted to go if water was already in the deck. Because it's plain and simple. Who would want to go to there? Looking out, though, I think a very massive zoom like this is very cool. Like, look how big this room is. Just for zooming in, obviously it makes it look a lot bigger. But it's very fascinating to see that this is all put together in a precise way that makes it look fantastic. Oh, and not to mention, look at this another beautiful painting. So you have two people down here, and then you have like a waterfall, and then you have, it kind of looks like Rome in a way. Or is it just me? I feel like that looks like Rome. I think it looks like Rome. Anyway, again, as I mentioned, the elevator rooms and everything like that are down here. This allows it to run the elevators. There's not too much more on this ship that is worth talking about for this part. Yeah, I think the pipe runs down to C deck, purser office. It possibly could. I'm not too sure. I find it funny that it goes straight through here and does not like start turning. And it must just run through or up, one of the two. But the fact that it runs from this is also very interesting. Well, actually, I don't know. You got me, because here's one of them. And it comes to this wall. Guys, this is very fascinating. I know there were two collapsible next to the first funnel on the roof next to the officer quarters. Yeah, but they could have put way more, or like so much more up there. That's just my opinion on that, though. I know that the game. Yeah, I know that the game Titanic Adventure Out of Time, you would have a mission in a squash court. Yeah. I don't know. I'm really curious. What's your guys' favorite, or like, what's your guys' favorite places on Titanic? Mine's just a squash court because I feel like that would be where families would be able to go and actually have fun, kind of just playing some games or you tossing ball back and forth. It's kind of like a tennis court in a way. I like it. I like it because it is not too big and it's just the right size where you and your friend or someone can go and just play things like down in the squash court. It's like a gym. It's cool. And then you can even just watch from the upstairs section. Like you could just watch from above. You don't even have to go down to the court and like watch people play. You can just watch from above, which is even cooler because gyms like that are not really, kind of like today. Also, it's fascinating that there's 2 poles here. Titanic is very fascinating. Who thought that 2 poles would be necessary right there? Apparently it is. Don't know who thought that would. I mean, obviously it's to hold the next part of the ship up, but it's definitely fascinating. So yeah, altogether, if we go all the way down to the bottom deck, which everyone knows what that deck is, it's F deck. Man, it just goes on forever. Guys, it feels like I'm running down the stairs. We get this again. I can't do it from the top, unfortunately, but it's insane. It is insane to know that if you look up, you see all of the decks on Titanic. The exact same picture that was in today's kind of thumbnail, if you look at it closely. Not all of them, but a couple of them. Like I mentioned, though, each of these floors or decks all had a purpose. And every single deck played a vital role in Titanic and its sinking. Because obviously, decks like F deck and E deck, they took a long time to sink. Like they did. They took way longer to sink, and then D deck came around. D deck started sinking faster, and then the door was left open. What Nimrod, no offense, would have thought that the door left open would be a good idea. I think that they should have closed the door, even though they probably weren't paying attention. But it would have definitely slowed down the increase of water coming into Titanic by a long shot. Probably would have kept her afloat, maybe. My rough estimate. I think Titanic probably would have been able to stay afloat 20 more minutes if that door was shut. Because that door alone was probably bringing just as much water in as the actual iceberg did penetrating the ship. It really did. That door was huge. Like, really big. If you look closely, there is a potato in one of the elevator gears. Wait, really? Really, Thomas Andrews? I know that Titanic had its own room dedicated to potatoes. But if I look closely... Wait. This is B-Deck, right? Yeah. Like, in its gears, like, what do you... Really? I gotta see this, though. Is that upstairs? That's just an image of my head that is swimming in the full of... Wait. That's just an image in my head that is swimming in full of debris and muck. Oh. Are you talking about... No, wait. That's not even that. I'm really fascinated, though. You got me, though. Wait, what? It's in the elevator. Okay. That's what I was thinking. Boat deck and the gear. Which gear is this one? This is weird. What in the heck? Wait, what? Oh my gosh, you're right. Oh, they left the potato on there. Guys, that potato's gotta be real good. One, that potato's probably gonna cook itself going through an elevator that's probably getting pretty hot in this room. And two, that elevator is gonna rot that thing. That thing is not gonna look good when it's done. I can't believe there's potato in there. That has been a joke. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna zoom in on that. Oh, just as I said that, Thomas Andrews said the same thing. That is weird. Okay, I think that they put this in here just because, obviously, Titanic had its own room dedicated to a potato. And also, Titanic Honor Glory is also bringing a new demo where they were talking about some things. So, if they're going to put 70% of Titanic out, or maybe 75, forget about 50. We're going to have 75% of Titanic unlocked. I hope that is the case. Or even 60, 65. That's a lot more rooms that I can dedicate and go into compared to what we have right now. But a potato. Guys. A potato on Titanic. That is definitely an Easter egg or something. But, hey, I'm glad you caught that because I didn't even see that or notice it. How do you feel about Titanic's gymnasium? Boys and girls, we are going to go work out. Just kidding. Definitely would love the workout in Titanic's gymnasium. I will say it's pretty outdated right now, though. Anyone else up for that? I think it's a little outdated there. I could be the only one, though. What's also fascinating, though, is the A-deck elevators, or just the elevator signs, like all those signs right there that you guys see, like right here, those actually stayed on a little bit longer than the electricity or the lights. I don't know why, but they were just built differently or something. And yeah, they stayed on a little bit longer than the actual electricity lights that you see, or the light bulbs and all that stuff. And guys, keep in mind, Titanic didn't have LED lights that we have today. So could you imagine paying an electricity bill for this ship? I'm just kidding. Obviously, it, kind of had free electricity. It's Titanic power plant, ran by a engine, but at the same time it didn't, because it has to have boilers and steam and stuff to run the ship. But that's weird, though, isn't it? Because yeah, the lights had to have electricity to run, and the engines had to have steam to run. So we get in somewhere? Yeah. Is it possible in this game to explore the stern section? Yeah, I could definitely go to the stern section. Guys, it feels like we're going through hyperspace on Titanic. Yeah. Here's the stern section. Maybe. This right here would be the C deck here. Not too much more down here. I will keep that off. Not really exploring this section here, but I will do a quick run through. A little fascinating down here too. Huh. How have I not paying attention to this too much? Oh, interesting. What's here? Guys, this is insane. Okay, I'm not going to even bother touching this stuff because this is not even stuff that I really want to go through today. But I gotta see. Oh my gosh. What in the heck? Titanic's kitchen for this. That is cool. Anyway, forget about that. Let's go back over here. Yeah, this is C deck. I'm just going to run through this quickly. I don't really want to do this yet. This is probably some content we can do later. Then we have up here. And actually, I kind of like this a little bit more. I like how the B deck is so much nicer down here than it is over near the side of the ship. Like, honestly. Doesn't this look a lot cooler than the other side of the ship for B deck? And then the dome is like almost the same. I don't know. I like this the aft grand staircase a little bit more. I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, I like this room or this section of Titanic a little bit more than the other grand staircase. That's just my personal opinion. If I'm honest, that it is one thing in the movies that wasn't realistic why Rose Cow and her mother were hanging on the ship's designer and the president of the White Star. Yeah. That was a little weird. Also, the tire lean's done a little different, I feel like, too, over here. I don't know. That's my opinion, though. Guys, could you think of, like, maybe having rooms, like, in the next update, being able to, like, walk through some of these rooms and be able to see what's in here? Oh. Holy moly, guys. I just keep getting distracted by these rooms. They're so cool. Wait. Look at the electricity here. What in the world? What in the heck is that? Guys, electricity on a ship was so much different than today. That is definitely not an outlet we would use today. If we use that outlet today, we'd probably get fined. Wouldn't you guys say? Oh. Interesting. I couldn't imagine buying one of these rooms. But anyways, we're back on the other side of the ship. And, yeah. I did a little speed through there. Now you see that the other side of the ship is a thing. I could do a video on that. Be looking forward to that one. I might do a video or a live stream discussing Titanic's aft grand staircase versus Titanic's grand staircase. Obviously, there was 2 times more decks for the grand staircase section than there was the aft grand staircase. It only went down to C deck, which compared to going all the way down to F deck is an entirely different thing. It couldn't go that far down though because it would have went right into the engine rooms. I don't know if you want passengers running into the engine room section. That wouldn't be a good thing. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely know that if I were to see a passenger walking into an engine room section, my immediate reaction would be get that person out of this section because that does not belong there. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap this stream up though, guys. Is there any other questions that I could answer for you guys tonight maybe, or we can do this in a different stream, or something else that you guys are looking forward to seeing, or anything? Yeah, because I pretty much discussed this section. I prefer not to go too much into detail in other spots, and maybe kind of just keep that into this spot. So if you guys have any questions about the grand staircase section, you could always also put it in the comments after the stream was over, or the stream. Otherwise, make sure you like the stream. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, make sure you throw them in the chat right now because I can answer them, or attempt to or research them or whatever I need to do to get you guys your answers, or just make content on what you guys are interested in. But if I do the movie, I do love the movie because the introduction of Titanic and how I became so fascinated with it. Yeah, that is also a very true and valid point there. The introduction of Titanic is is one of the best introductions to any movie ever done, because it shows you what Titanic looked like, and then it took her back in time. That was cool. And also, it's fascinating though that the CDAC was the one that started those radiation heaters, I believe is what they're like known for, because you don't see these on any other deck unless you go above. So CDAC, CDAC and B deck and A deck, you see them, and boat deck. But now you go down here, and instead of those heaters, you come across like this wall trim, which I'm almost certain is a heater in itself. And of course you come across a desk and stuff. But they don't have those on the walls either. It's because I think that these are all the heater or the piping sections, which makes it very interesting. But yeah, if you go down any farther, you ain't gonna come across the heating section because down here is already hot enough. You don't need it to really be hot down here. In my opinion, the stern section does look nicer than the bow when you get out on it. Yeah, and I agree with that. It does look way better than it does with the stern or the bow. It's also fascinating though. Oh, I did not push that, by the way. Okay. Did not want to go here, but I won't argue with it. We'll go back through the door in a second. Also, I've noticed though, it takes a little while for it to like load. I'm hoping that like next time it's a lot easier for it to process. Like the next update might be a little bit easier to process. And if you guys do want to try the game out, I do have it in the description. It is a massive file, so you will have to download this, and it is, again, like 50 gigabytes was like around there or something like that. I think like 40 or 50. So it is a very big like thing to try or even think about like even looking at putting on your computer, but it deserves its glory in my opinion. It is very fascinating. And it also takes forever to transfer from one section of the Titanic to the next one. I hope if they do make a sinking or something like that, that it is done correctly. I don't want to see water going through the walls, because that is not how it goes. We're not in Roblox Titanic where water can travel through walls. I'd like to see details on how the sinking happens, whether it has to come around and go through the door, comes through vents, portholes, goodness knows whatever else it can come with. I just like to see the opening or the details of the crazy animations that Titanic Honor and Glory can do. And while we wait for that, yeah. So the progress on this beautiful, wonderful Titanic that I'm making in Lego will be done on a different channel that I will be working on. And I will be changing the name of this channel one more time probably. Not too sure on exactly what I'm going to be doing, but I will be doing that. Let me go back to that door again. But yeah, this is the state of it right now. It's in a very rough situation, rough spot. but it is definitely the start of a ship, and I will be doing a live stream probably on this on another channel as well. Um, Again, still working that out, but I really do have a passion for this ship and for Titanic. There we go. I just had to switch back with rooms and stuff because it's wanting to be interesting. Just the way it was laid out with the benches and the docking bridge looks nicer than the bow does. Yeah, I totally agree on that one. It looks 100% nicer than it does with just the bow section doesn't look as good as. I feel like it could have been done way better. Now, on the other hand, the stern section, the aft grand staircase, holy moly. I just think it's laid out better and it's more organized. There's more furniture there, and you know, obviously if they didn't want the furniture, they could also just stack it up in the corner and then take it out when they needed it. Always an option. But yeah. Love it. Anyway. Yeah. Finally, it goes through here. There's closet stuff down here. Oh, I was like, say that's weird. Anyway, there's closet room down here under the stairs, which is fascinating because Titanic used its stairs and stuff like that to its advantage. It used storage wherever it could get storage possibly in. And I'm hoping some of these rooms right here open up in the next update. Unsure. Titanic Honor Glory has already mentioned it, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Time will tell. We'll find out. But I am going to end the stream though. I think the questions that you guys did give me or things that you wanted to say in the comments were great. Again, if you haven't watched it or haven't played this game before or anything like that, well, it's not even really a game. It's like if you haven't played this, the link is in the description. You could watch Titanic movie to watch more Titanic. On top of that, there's other games you can play like Roblox Titanic that will get you more onto this. I just don't like the way it is when it comes to the syncing and stuff. Some of it's kind of wrong. But yeah, to this day, Titanic remains probably one of my. I can't even say it. Probably remains as one of the most luxurious and the favorite of my ships. Britannic is up there with it, and the SS Celtic as well. Those are like my three favorite ships. But the information I give, I hope is true, and I hope is as good as I can give it, as accurately as I can give it, because that's really what I care about. I could care less about how I do it. I just want it to be correct and for people to know about it and to learn and have fun. I think these are very fun streams to do because this just shows the beauty and the wonderful creation that not only Titanic Honor and Glory has done, but the people that built this ship 115 years ago. Just fantastic. Anyway, thank you all for watching this stream. If you haven't, again, like the stream, consider subscribing. Yeah, and Scott Davis came in at the very end of the stream. So welcome, Scott Davis. What was the door or the docking bridge on the stern used for anyway? It was the load passengers up on that side too, but I think it was used for a couple other things. Man, I don't know if I can get to the docking bridge from here. I think there was another version, another way of Titanic hitting and getting uh, like much more of it, of that. Oh, you're fine, Scott. It's just nice that you actually came in though. Um, that's a good question though. You really got me there. Yeah. Um, Guys, I'm still obsessed with this. I can't believe I looked at the stern section. It's so much better. Where is this boarding section? I know it's around here. Oh, whoa! How did I not know this existed? What in the heck? Oh my gosh, guys, this stuff is insane. What in the world? This actually existed? Oh, and I could just instantly just take one of these cups, walk away, and then head over to my section. Oh my gosh, guys, though. How did I not know this existed, though? Anyways, the docking bridge, though, as you were talking about, though. The docking bridge, though, I'm almost certain it was used to load one. Cargo could be loaded up with it. I think the other section, other thing would be passengers. I could be wrong, but I think those were the two main reasons of that docking bridge. Oh. I don't know about that, guys. That's got to be a lot. That's got to be old. And Titanic's plumbing isn't much different than today's. And there's another one on this side, too. And then we have a kitchen. Oh my gosh, guys. This is insane. Oh, and a telephone, too. And yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Words that cannot describe how beautiful this ship is. But anyways, yeah, that would be what the docking bridge would probably be used for. What was it on the plate? It was one of the, it's like a Britain, or like a thing that you would have with tea. Like a dessert you would see that people would have with tea. It's, what is this? It's like a muffin? No, it's like a cookie. It's one of those like powdered cookies, I think. I feel like. But I think you have this with tea in the morning. So yeah. Again, I adore the ship and I always will. Yeah. I'm almost certain that is what you use for having with like tea or coffee in the morning or something. It's like a dessert. Man, Copper, you're making me hungry now. I have to come back and check this food now. I blame you, Copper. Or, Scott, sorry. Not Copper. I like to blame people for making me hungry for that. I'm just kidding. But yeah, because you can see more over here, too. Like, you can tell this is a cinnamon roll. And that looks pretty good, too. And all of the wonderful stuff that you see right here. And then what in the world is that? I don't even know what that is. I don't want to know what that is. But yeah. Definitely probably something that you would do. I think these guys serve like kind of like a light meal, breakfast kind of sort of thing. But yeah, there's so much drinks and alcohol beverages right here that it's kind of insane. And then you probably got your classic water pipes and all that stuff. But I am going to end the stream here because I keep saying I'm going to end it and I haven't ended it yet. As I continue to look through all of the wonderful... Oh my gosh, guys. I'm about ready to... We're going to be streaming for 12 hours, guys, so... hang on tight for that one. I am not kidding about that. This is going to be... Holy moly. Anyway. Okay, one more time. Thank you all guys for watching this again. I really do appreciate it. 2 hours and 20 minutes. I couldn't talk that long, but because it's Titanic, I can. And because you guys are all in this stream, I also can. So thank you again. Make sure you guys like the stream if you haven't. Consider subscribing if you also haven't. And we will end. Scott, save the stream. I streamed like 10 minutes longer. But yeah, have a good one, everyone. And, well, see you later. And I also have some videos planned. So, Titanic behind me.